Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of the Elite City Podcast. This one's a little bit special. We're going to go over the big Grand Slam shows from last week. So, first and foremost, Rick, what were your thoughts?
Great shows. I mean, probably some of the best wrestling shows they've had in a while. I liked it more than any recent event I can think of. Like, they were both very, very good. Both
Yes.
the Dynamite and the Rampage shows were really good. I liked them a lot.
I just saw on Twitter not 10 minutes ago that even though Rampage was on from 10 till midnight, it ranked fourth and eighth overall.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
yeah, for 11 o'clock being eighth overall, I mean, wow. From 11 to 12, that hour is when they dropped to eighth, but still, that's really good.
Yeah, still, I mean, and they deserve it. I mean, the shows were great shows, but not just wrestling wise, but like storyline wise, and the crowd was obviously good, and it was good.
And let's before we go any further, let us both just be very thankful that we stayed off and avoided spoilers.
Yes,
Because
it was
really
difficult.
Cool
It was a difficult 2 days there to avoid
It sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, on that note, we'll start just like Grand Slam started with a bang. They started with the Ring of Honor World Championship match between Jericho and Claudio. I really like the way that AEW is incorporating like Ring of Honor things during Ring of Honor matches. Like Ian Riccaboni was on commentary, Bobby Cruz was the ring announcer. I just really think that's a nice touch.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, they pay them for 10 minutes of their time. I mean, it's awesome.
Right.
Literally. Um, a lot of history in this match. This Ref Aubrey was the first female to ever referee a Ring of Honor World Title match. I thought that was a little cool stat. Um, I know her and Jericho are very close, like they're really good friends, and I wonder if he's like suggested that he wanted her to ref this match. That's just me thinking that, but I could see that.
Yeah, I don't know. She's not their like lead official. That's Paul Turner,
No,
I think, right?
correct. Yes.
Yeah, but she is in a lot of big matches and she does a good job. So.
Yes. Oh, she does. Um, I wrote in my notes. This match started the week, but this match, these two guys, no BS. This could have literally like main evented WrestleMania.
Yeah, and I feel like they did that on purpose for 2 points. One, obviously, they're big stars who people know, and they were going to have a good match, so it makes sense to put them on at the beginning.
Right.
Also, if there were any lapsed fans tuning in who hadn't watched wrestling in a while, they would probably know the two of them.
Who they are. Yes.
So it was a good choice for an opener.
It was. I should have done my homework. I did not. So if you know, we can settle it now. If not, we'll leave it to go. Have they ever wrestled each other before?
I feel like they have. I can't think specifically, but I feel like they have.
Okay. But I was going to say, if they didn't, they have amazing chemistry together because this match there was two pros in the ring. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
They laid it down. We talk about these off the apron moves all the time, and the suplex by Jericho on Claudio when he went to the floor, I think that was actually worse than when they do it on the apron.
Yeah.
My God.
There's a lot, and I love AEW. I get why the wrestlers do this, but like there are a lot of spots in an average episode of an AEW show where you're just like, did you need to? Like it looked cool. I get it. It looked really cool. Like if I was there, I'd be cheering. Yes. But like, are you gonna want to in 10 years from now? You're gonna be like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're gonna get there with Ricky and Hobbs.
Yeah.
All in all, this was a great pro wrestling match. I mean, this was well, unless you talk to certain people that think like wrestling died in 1976, but taking those people out of the equation, I mean, this was television wrestling at its finest. I mean,
And it had a good for a good wrestling match. It had a good sports entertainment finish.
yes, it did. Oh, it was amazing. Uh, Whenever Claudio reversed the walls of Jericho and it got the crowd to stand, that was a moment. Like
Yeah,
that's something that's going to be on like the beginning of like Dynamite or something, or if they ever make a DVD or something, it's going to be like that moment. Like literally, he reversed it, and all 20,000 people just stood. It was amazing. And Jericho now being a man of honor since he since he won the Ring of Honor championship on um, a took advantage of Ref Aubrey. You know,
yes.
she
Were you
she
surprised
wasn't.
by him winning?
Yes,
I
but
was too.
we both picked. I was looking at that earlier. We both picked um,
Claudia.
Claudio.
And I was pretty certain on that. Like that wasn't one of the
Yes,
ones where I was like hemming and hawing. Like I was pretty certain Claudia was going to win.
yeah.
Do you think that Jericho winning is for a potential ROH TV show, either to promote an ROH TV show or to help them get a time slot?
Yes, and yes.
Because
100%.
that's kind of why they made him champion when they first started, was to get
Yeah.
him to help them get Dynamite. So I mean, he is a big name. If you're a television executive and you're like, look, this guy is heading our show. He's a 8-time world champion. He's been
Yes.
wrestling for 25 years. Yeah.
And he's still Chris Jericho. Like
Right.
you could have said the same thing for Claudio. Like, hey, he used to wrestle in Ring of Honor, then he went to WWE. Everybody knows. Well, no, they know him as Cesaro.
Right. And Chris
like Chris.
and no offense to Claudio, but Chris
Right.
Jericho has been significantly more popular than Claudio.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely,
for sure.
Definitely. I also loved Jericho. Like, I hope he goes all in on like calling out when wrestlers cheat.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that more when we talk about Rampage.
Yes,
But that was great.
I hope he goes all in and just talks about how honorable he is. Oh, it's amazing, Jericho. Amazing. Um, Great match. And I mean, there's no stopping because the second match of the night, which we did get this one right, we're batting 500 now. Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. Uh, I mean, we've been talking about it for a couple weeks now. You brought it up. Swerve got booed. I think we're on to nice heel Swerve here.
Yeah, I think that's coming possibly this week. I think him and Keith Lee are going to have a falling out. I don't know if it's going to be like an angry falling out where they get into a feud afterwards, or it's just going to be we're not partners anymore. We're just going to part ways. I don't know how they're going to take it, but yeah, Swerve is going to be a heel, and he's going to do an excellent job at it.
Oh, yes, he is.
I think honestly, everyone in this match, and this includes Billy Gunn, played their role so well. Like they did exactly what they should be doing in this match. Every single one of them.
Yep. Yeah, I wholeheartely agree. It was so impressive. And even the crowd,
Yeah.
when Keith Lee's music hits and they started the "Oh Scissor Daddy," oh, it was so good.
The match itself probably wasn't as good as the All Out match, like the actual match.
Yeah.
But the roles everybody played, the story of the match was great.
Like I said, heel Swerve is the best Swerve, and it's gonna be incredible.
And I mean, the Acclaim, like everyone said, they were when they showed up on Dark. They showed up on Dark in the early ages of AEW, but also when there was no crowd, there was no one around, there was no, like they carried themselves from performing in front of literally nobody,
correct,
to 15,000 people or whatever chanting for them.
And I mean, let's Max Caster's suplex on Keith Lee was amazing, was impressive, but Keith Lee's flipping moonsault.
Yeah.
Wow. And to think he got fired. I don't know.
Keith Lee is one of the guys where it's weird to say this, but if you actually just let him be who he is, like his personality, his wrestling abilities, he's one of those guys who I could see being like, oh, he's too good. We can't have him be in a wrestling show because he's good at all the stuff. And who's legitimately going to beat him? Like if he's that big, he's that strong, he could do moonsaults. Like realistically, who's going to beat Keith Lee? Like it's going to take someone. Like if you actually look at him as a performer in the ring, like it reminds me of, and not personality wise, but definitely, but in the ring, it's like Vader.
Yeah.
It's a big guy who's fast, who can jump, who can, flip. He has everything. Except he's not. He seems to be a very nice person as opposed to Vader.
Yes, and you saying that just popped in my head. That's what I always used to say. I never thought Ken Shamrock would succeed in wrestling because I was like, who's going to take him serious? Everybody knows he could destroy everybody that he's facing.
Right.
And I mean, he got himself over, and
Kurt Angle too. He had to play like he had to go all in on the character to be like, well, he's legitimately like the best wrestler, so he has to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Keith Lee is that, but like you said, he's also like a scholar. he's incredible.
Like from what I've heard of them, I mean, I obviously don't know them, but from what I've heard of them in like interviews and on podcasts and things, like Swerve and Keith Lee seem like very, very. They're both very, very smart. And they're also like possibly the nicest wrestlers like you'll ever hear from. Most wrestlers seem kind of, they're humans, right? None of them are perfect. Like, but they legitimately seem like two very, very nice guys who, and I think the Acclaimed also seem like two very, very nice guys. This was a big moment for all of them. And yes, Keith Lee and Swerve lost, but this is going to take them somewhere. They're going to split up and they're going to go off on their own into their own. And how could they fail? Like, honestly, how could they fail?
I mean, I think I texted you this sometime recently. Would you be mad at Keith Lee going after Wardlow next?
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
The thing with Wardlow is like, I want to see, I guess it's a debate for a rant for another time. Like I want to see Wardlow against Samoa Joe. I want to see Wardlow against Keith Lee. I want to see Wardlow. Like there's a lot of guys I want to see face Wardlow. And it's I think that's why it's a little disappointing that he's kind of hasn't done much since winning the title, because there's a lot of people you'd want to see go up against Wardlow.
Yeah.
And Keith Lee is definitely one of them.
And I hope that's where they go, just because, I mean, again, like we talk about it all the time. Like there's only so many guys you could put in the ring with a guy like Wardlow. Like,
right.
No disrespect to anybody, but if you put him in there with like Darby, like, yes, we all know Darby could wrestle, blah, 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 but there's only so much suspension of disbelief. You're going to, oh, that man could pick him up and throw him somewhere. Like, so yeah, you put him in the ring with Keith Lee and, oh, okay. You don't need the suspension of disbelief. Like if these two guys really met and fought, it would be 50-50.
Right. So now, do you think the Acclaimed are they the most over, like AEW, say AEW originals, say you're not counting like Bryan Danielson or Jon Moxley, like guys who came from nowhere and you didn't know who they were before AEW. Would you say they're the most over group of guys?
Yeah.
I think they definitely are, in terms of like all the guys who started kind of in the public eye when AEW started. I mean, maybe Darby's also really over, or MJF. Okay. Yeah, MJF. I forgot about MJF. Okay. Outside of MJF, the Acclaimed.
But still though, MJF, he earned everything that he got, but he started on television.
True.
Like, and he was with Cody at first.
Right.
So the Acclaimed are the first to quote unquote make the main roster. They went through I hate to say that Dark and Elevation are like a lower league, because they're not, but they went through that.
Right.
And they worked their way up. So yeah, like I would say they're probably the most over, just from, like you said, they were there when they were wrestling in front of nobody. So,
and I don't think anybody would have predicted this a year ago, that the Acclaimed would be where they are now. Not that people didn't like the Acclaimed, but you never would have thought they'd be where they are now. And they deserve it. I mean, they're doing a great job. Their gimmick works with people. adding Billy Gunn to it was I thought was a weird move at the beginning when they started hanging out with the Gun Club.
Yes,
but it's made them so much funnier, and it's like given them so much more. It's been great.
Yeah,
and it kind of ties into the New Age Outlaws, which I feel like they sort of are.
That's what I was just gonna say. Like it has a DX kind of vibe, but they're not really like, it's a tag team and a manager. It's not like they're a group, but
Right.
it is that you saying it's like a New Age Outlaws. That's exactly what they are. They are the New Age Outlaws.
Yeah.
Because they're fun and like.
And they get the crowd involved, and they
Yeah.
have, they do like not Road Dogg didn't do a rap before a match, but he had like a little speech before a match. Like they do something to get people into the match before it happens.
And like, oh, the new raps are going to be incredible. Speaking of, I mean, there's so many points that Max can hit from just things that happen in the news.
Yeah.
So we'll hit those in a minute. But yeah, it's his next rap's going to be pretty awesome. With that said, we had our first backstage segment of the evening. We had Lexi Nair backstage with FTR, and like obviously there's no scripted promos or whatever, but I really love that FTR, like old school wrestling, congratulated the Acclaimed. Thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you deserved it, blah blah blah, but hey, here we are. We're still ranked number one, or wherever they're ranked, or
if they still have rankings, where no one's quite sure.
Yeah, nobody knows how that works anymore.
You could check the AEW website, but it hasn't been updated in months. So
yeah, and Vince McMahon was still employed the last time. The last time AEW updated their website. It was I would love to see FTR in the Acclaimed.
I wonder if that's where they're going, because they did this for a reason.
Yeah. I would just really love to see that. There's so much.
The only issue I'd have with that is that FTR kind of has to win, and you don't want the Acclaim to lose right away.
Yeah, but that could also cement the Acclaimed beating FTR. So
it's a little weird what they're doing with FTR. Like, why haven't they? They were really, really over like a few months ago when they won all those belts, and then they kind of just did nothing since then.
Like you said, unless the Jeff Hardy situation messed some things up.
I think it did. I think that caused some problems,
and then, I mean, you have the whatever it is going on with the Bucks and suspension, and so if they were all supposed to be involved in some way or another, Jeff Hardy,
and the ROH titles. I mean, they possibly plan to have an ROH TV show by now, so that's another issue.
And I mean, we know probably why, but the only viable tag team that ROH has is the Briscoes.
Right.
We're never going to see them on AEW TV.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyways,
speaking of other tag teams.
Yeah, speaking of other tag teams, the Gun Club / Ass Boys / the Firm employees, they interrupted FTR during their interview, and I was so enamored that I forgot to write down actually what they said. Like, so I have no idea what they said.
I believe they mostly just mocked FTR. Like
I was going to say, I think they made fun of them,
and they repeated this. Like he did like an FTR type promo with like top guys out.
Guys out. Yeah, that's okay. That's what it was. So, did the Gun Club / Ass Boys, did they just up their ante a little bit too?
Yeah, they have. I mean,
yeah,
with FTR, with joining with Stokely, like they've done a lot too in the last little while.
And other than the first match, we're halfway through the show, and the first match was WWE guys.
I feel like I'll get to this later on, but I feel like the point, or one of the points of both these shows
100%.
was to highlight a lot of not just AEW originals, but unique talent, people who like may not be AEW originals, so to speak, but they didn't come from WWE, or if they did, they weren't big deals in WWE. Like, no offense to Keith Lee or Swerve, but like their time in WWE was not significant in terms of the course of their careers. They were there for a couple of years. Like,
and
it
that's
wasn't
what they're known for.
They're not Chris Jericho or Jon Moxley, who built their career in WWE. Like, they had a brief run there that didn't go well through no fault of their own. And I think that's why they're showcasing them now.
Exactly. And, moving right along, talking about someone that really upped their game. Wheeler Yuta interview with Tony Schiavone. MJF comes in. Now, if this was 6 months ago, and if Wheeler would have said one word, you'd have been like, "Oh my God, Wheeler Yuta like spoke up to MJF."
Yeah.
I mean, he straight up slapped him in the face.
Right.
And nobody was surprised. What they have done with Wheeler Yuta has been nothing short of amazing. Like, he literally went from nobody knew who he was to he slapped MJF in the face, and it makes sense.
What I really liked about this was, I mean, MJF is clearly, for everything good about Wheeler Yuta, and I like Wheeler Yuta, MJF is clearly more over than Wheeler Yuta. Like, he came out and
100%
and took over the segment, essentially, and the crowd was behind him.
Yes.
MJF is, I don't know if he's changed the way he works based on his own, on his own volition, or if he's talked to some people. I know Jericho said that he was working with him on his promos a little bit, not his promos, but how his character presented itself.
Yes.
MJF went from knowing the crowd is behind him and everyone cheering him, and managed to make everybody like boo him by the end. Yes. And he's managed to do that the last couple shows. He knows he's over. He comes out, he sucks up to the crowd, he gets them to cheer, and then he can turn it so quickly.
On a dime.
Like, he knows he's supposed to be the heel. He's not trying to be like the cool. He's not trying to get the fans behind him. He wants the fans to boo him. Right. And he's doing a great job of it. Like, his promos since he's come back, he's always been good on the mic, obviously.
Yeah.
But his promos since he came back, they seem more focused. They're less cheap shots. They're more storyline driven, and they're really good.
They are really good. And you brought something up that I'm going to hit on. When he's turning the crowds on him, he's doing so, and the crowd doesn't even realize that 5 seconds ago they loved it.
Right.
Like, it's like, yeah, boo.
It reminds me of The Rock, like when he was a heel.
Yeah.
Once he was more well known and more established, and people started cheering him, he could still turn them against him. I remember there was a promo. It was in Toronto, and I remember he came out and they did the "Finally the Rock has come back to Toronto" thing, and everyone cheered. And he just did this, "Oh, Toronto, that's where we're from. Aren't you so excited?" And like, they immediately started booing him. And it reminds me of that.
That's amazing. Well, that we're not done yet. I was going to move on, but then
more happened.
Yeah, then W. Morrissey, please drop the W, or just I don't know.
Just be Morrissey, or be William Morrissey, or Will Morrissey, or Bill Morrissey, or something.
Please, W. Morrissey. It's
a weird name.
Very weird. And he comes out and they both attack Wheeler and Schiavone, which loved it. I think
that really got the crowd turned against him. Yeah.
And I think this is the first time we have seen something like that in AEW, like where, like, we've had like the quote unquote ref bump, but this is the first time that I think that I can remember that somebody has put their hands on somebody of non-wrestling.
And like a named performer. Like, there were guys who like he pushed random officials backstage out of the way or something. But, like, this is someone we know. This is like Tony Schiavone, who's on every week. It's not even when I think Pat Buck got hit once, no one really knows who he is outside of people who really follow wrestling. Right. Whereas everybody who watches the show knows Tony Schiavone.
Exactly. And
he's kind of the extension of management. I mean, when management has to announce something, Tony Schiavone does it.
Yeah.
When Tony Khan has to make an announcement, most of the time it's Tony Schiavone who does it. It's not the company.
That is correct. Yeah.
So MJF hitting him was kind of hitting, the representative of Tony
company.
Khan, the representative of the company. Like, he's AEW.
Good call. And I love the way that Excalibur and Taz played it. Like,
Yeah.
they blurred the lines. Like, hey, I'm going to get up and check on him. You call security, or whatever the line was.
Yeah.
Like,
And even little things like later, Tony was like, I saw a doctor backstage. He said I'm fine. Like,
yeah,
where a
it
wrestler
was
wouldn't see a doctor for something like that, but he's not a wrestler. He's an announcer. So he's
right.
not used to getting hit. So he should be
Yeah,
checked on. Yeah.
it was perfect. Well, right after that, we had Pac versus Orange Cassidy, and I mean, everybody loves Orange Cassidy. Everybody
Yeah.
loves Pac. Pac, excuse me. This match was great. It went pillar to post, up, down, left, right. Great match.
Orange Cassidy is one of those guys who can have great matches, and it really doesn't matter if he wins or loses. He's still over. Like, he could lose. I think he could honestly lose every match, and people would still like they wouldn't get bored of him. They wouldn't, stop caring about him. Like, he's over.
He's Danhausen too. Or
yes,
he's not Danhausen. Like, Danhausen's the same is what I meant to say. Yeah, if they would
suddenly you reveal that Orange Cassidy like puts on makeup and he's Danhausen.
That would be absolutely amazing. that would be incredible. But yeah, like, if they had a feud, it would be hilarious because nobody would care who won, lost,
right.
or was on top. It didn't matter. These guys had great chemistry. It was just a great match. They had to wrestle each other in PWG a million times, just because with no feud, no promos, like, what, 8 days before we found out they were going to wrestle, if not less, and then they put a spectacle on.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, they did an excellent job.
Yeah.
And they made you care about the match, even though realistically you shouldn't really care because they're not feuding. They're just two guys, right? Like, but they made you care about the match.
This was another one that we were right on. So we're up now.
Yes. you were right on the ending. The ending was a little, I mean, for a TV audience, it worked, but not necessarily for those in the building.
The ending of this match?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Or I still don't. I'm going to question that till the end of time, because that was like, let's just not tell everybody what happened.
Yeah, because if you were watching in the crowd, you just saw Pac like punch him in the head.
Yeah. And you didn't see how or what even led up to that. Like,
yeah.
If you were watching on TV, you saw it. They earned their "this is awesome" chant, and like we just said, we're going to get into it right now. Pac had the heel win. Now, my question is, do you think it cheapened his character at all?
A little bit. I don't know where they're going with it. I get the point. I think the point of it was like, he hates Orange Cassidy so much that he'll do anything to beat him. But it was a little out of nowhere. Like, I didn't expect that from him, and I thought it was a little strange. I don't know if it's going somewhere, if it's just a one-off for this match.
And if it's just a one-off and, play into the anything could happen in AEW, like, I'm okay with it. But if like, he at least has to do it a one or two more times, or make it like a wild card. Is Pac gonna cheat?
Right.
Like, you just can't have it like, why do you do it with Orange? And then next week,
like, maybe that'll be his thing. Like, he'll do anything to win a match. So he could cheat sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. If he sees like he's going to lose the belt, he'll bend the rules. Like, that's a good call.
This is actually one spot where WWE's, I know that, the over exaggerated things that they do, like shaking their heads and like the over exaggerated facial, like, they've always done that because, according to Steve Austin, at least, the reason they do that is so that if you're in a big building, the people in the back know what's going on. So this was a case where he kind of needed to be a little bit more visible with the hammer.
Yeah.
Because it didn't look like anything to anyone other than the people watching on TV.
Yeah. Like, even if, like, I mean, he picked it up and, well, we're not a video here, but for reference, he had it kind of like between his fingers, and like it was just it was hidden totally. You wouldn't be able to see it unless you were looking for it.
Yeah, it's realistically what you would do if you were in his situation and wanted to hide hitting someone with a hammer. Like, that was good. Like, that's how you would realistically do it. It's just nobody would have seen that. I remember, like, when William Regal used to use the brass knucks, he would like put them in his tights and he'd roll out of the ring and then make a big deal about like going into his tights.
Yes.
And then you wouldn't necessarily see the brass knucks on his hand, but you know that's what he was doing.
Yeah, like all Pac had to do simply is like maybe just like lift his hand up.
Right.
You know, like, or like, you know, point to like, you know, give a visual cue. Like, yeah, it's like you said, if he was really going to jump somebody, that's exactly what you would do.
Right. Like it looked realistic. It just
Yes.
didn't
Yeah.
like the crowd had no idea. The match just ended and they were like, what? How did that end the match? Because he didn't even hit a move. He just punched him and then the match was over.
So yeah, it was, other than the finish, which the finish was only bad if you were there, in my opinion.
Right.
Because it was awesome on television. Like, I mean, the cameras were there. It was awesome. But yeah, the crowd was a little.
It's not like they missed it on TV. They got it clearly on TV. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a little wonky if you were there. But good match.
And at the time, I was annoyed at all the refs missing things, but that comes into play later, so it all makes sense.
So again,
trust the story. Like I always, I should just trust where it's going. It's gonna reveal itself. Give it time.
Now, we had what on paper we knew this match was gonna rule.
Yeah.
But little did we know how cool the ending of this next match was gonna be.
Yeah.
Women's 4-way. For the interim world title, Britt Baker versus Serena Deeb versus Athena versus Toni Storm. Here we are. Athena and Storm come in and they clear the ring right off the bat. I thought it was a cool way to kind of start it with the good guys versus bad guys, but that all broke apart fairly soon. But it was
neat. I liked it because they just had that tag match with these teams. So it made sense why they're working together temporarily. It was good.
Britt Baker, she must know a very good plastic surgeon because her nose is now broken.
I feel like she broke her nose. Like it looked bad.
It looked bad. I went back and watched it. Did you see what happened initially?
No, I didn't see what happened. Something hit her. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, Athena goes to hit like I don't want to say it was a moonsault, but Athena goes to hit a move off the top rope or middle rope. And Britt was just a little too far away.
Okay.
And Athena went to like stretch for it, but they both misjudged. And Athena was going to make it the whole time, but Athena's whole torso just went like right on Britt's face.
Okay.
So her chest bone, her chest bone had to just
credit to Britt for like finishing everything. Like not just the match, but like the post-match stuff. Like she
100%. Like that had to hurt so bad.
And like you're bleeding everywhere. You don't know what happened. Like you don't know if your nose is broken. You don't know what's going on. Like, yeah. Especially when it's a nose, because I mean they always talk about on commentary, but it's true. Like your eyes water, you get a little disoriented. Like you
can't breathe anymore. Like a broken nose is terrible.
Yeah. And she did everything she needed to do without missing a beat. Like if there wasn't blood if there wasn't blood on her face, you wouldn't know that she was hurt. Like she did everything.
It was amazing. After her broken nose, she went on. I mean, like that wasn't the end of the match. There was still like 12 minutes left.
I thought she was going to roll out and she'd be done for the match, but she wasn't.
Yeah. Nope. She went into the corner and went right after Toni Storm. And they had their little thing and Storm gets the pin. Hayter makes the run in and shows her loyalty. And I'm going to say her loyalty for now.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember. The lights didn't go out, did they? Did lights go out?
No, just the theme started.
Just her music. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Music hits and we see it's Saraya. I said it right too.
I love because she tweeted it and then someone corrected her. Did you see that?
Yes.
And then she was like, I think I know how to pronounce my own name.
My own name, right. People are unbelievable. Like totally unbelievable. No, it's actually pronounced. Oh, sorry. Anyways, that's just people are terrible. Saraya is all elite, and if you don't know that she's formerly Paige from WWE, but the pop that she got, that was a surprise.
Yeah, I mean she's over, and I know she's over, but
Yeah,
that was a bigger pop than I would have, and not nothing against her, but I mean she hasn't not only has she not wrestled in a long time, she hasn't been on TV in a long time.
right. Well,
So maybe that's why she got that pop because no one expected it. But unless you'd
well,
followed Sean Ross Sapp on Twitter,
right.
you would have no idea. Like I no offense, but I forgot that she was an option to come to AEW. Like I didn't think
Same
of her.
here. Same here. Now I'm
Last
gonna
week we were talking about who could the surprise be, and we both like
exactly.
neither of us named her.
Exactly. Um, I'm gonna throw something your way, and I'm not trying to be Joe conspiracy theory here, but I I said this out loud the other day, and it made total sense to me. Let's see if it makes total sense to you. Do you think that WWE doctors, we're going to put them in quotes, had the ear of Vince McMahon, and if he didn't like you or felt that you weren't in the plans, you were never cleared? Because isn't it weird that all these people get fired and then all of a sudden they're cleared to work?
Yeah, it's a little strange. I could see thinking that. I don't know because I mean, if you're a doctor, I could see you. I don't know if you take that risk as a doctor because I mean, they're licensed.
But if you work for, if you're like the guy that
Yeah,
works for WWE doesn't go and check on little Billy because he fell and broke his leg. Like they probably just
yeah.
work for
I
WWE.
mean, their argument would be that their doctors are more stringent than other doctors, which
Exactly.
I guess I could kind of see because they've had a lot of
True.
situations in their past where they've let people wrestle and they shouldn't have let them wrestle. So I can see that for like liability purposes, they get like the strictest possible doctors.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a little. I mean, that's what Danielson said. He goes, every single doctor cleared him except for
Right.
WWE's doctors. Yeah,
So, and again, like these guys and girls, like especially if you were working for WWE, like even if you were low man on the totem pole, you were making more than the average person. You were probably going to specialists that the average person couldn't afford.
right.
Like
And
you
even just
didn't.
like the travel, like being able to travel across the country to see someone.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. Like I was going to say, like you can go to the Mayo Clinic in Texas if they're the best elbow person and you're having elbow
right.
problems. Like
I'm pretty sure now that you mentioned it, I think Edge only got cleared after it leaked that he was talking to AEW, and then suddenly WWE was like, "You're good to wrestle," and then
yeah,
like,
that's what I mean. Like it's so weird that these people all of a sudden, like I don't know,
I
that could
mean,
just be.
technically, we don't know if she's cleared to wrestle. No one technically actually knows right now. We're
Yeah, she
assuming that
tweeted
she
it out.
is. She tweeted that she would say something, didn't she? She didn't tweet that she was cleared.
Nope. Yeah, I was thinking that Big Show tweeted that out. He
Oh, okay.
he's cleared, and he said he signed a talent contract,
Oh, okay.
which
She tweeted saying that
yeah, she's
the
gonna let
people
her.
say
Yeah,
the people saying she's not cleared aren't don't know, and she's
yeah,
good. I'm assuming she's cleared just based on the way they talk. Being
yes.
like, I think Taz was like, she could really go. Like they wouldn't be hyping her up as someone who can fight if she's not gonna wrestle.
Is she beating Jade?
I think she might skip Jade. I think she might just go for the actual, the main women's title.
Okay, so
If
we're
she's cleared and she's ready to go, I think she's just going to go straight to the main
straight
event.
for them. Okay.
If
Wow.
she's cleared.
Yeah. Well, she's
And
gonna
I
talk.
and I mentioned to you that I think what I would do if she's cleared, but obviously she hasn't been in the ring for I don't know how many years, like wrestling. I would love to see her against Serena Deeb, just because Serena
Oh
Deeb,
yeah.
first of all, can get a good match out of anybody. So if she is, has any ring rust or is her timing's off or whatever, like Serena Deeb can
Yes,
get a good
she
match
can
from her.
carry the load. Yes, definitely.
And Serena Deeb is a experienced veteran who's like, not to say that anyone Soraya's wrestled before hasn't been safe. Like her accidents have been flukes. Like none of them were due to
100%.
negligence or anything. But Serena Deeb is significantly less likely to accidentally injure someone than someone who doesn't have as much experience as she does.
Well, even like no fault to Athena, Deeb also does more wrestling based moves, whereas like
Right.
Athena, like that was a total accident that she landed on Britt, but Serena's not jumping off the top rope ever.
Right. Yeah.
So
Even
yeah,
like when as Paige when she got hurt, I mean Sasha Banks kicked her in the back, and
that's right.
And Serena Deeb doesn't even do moves like that. Like, she's not a high impact person. She's
she's gonna stretch you.
She's a technical wrestler person. So yeah.
So okay, I see that, and I'm okay with that.
My thinking is she'll face Serena Deeb and then win and then move on to the main event. Like, they're not going to give her a title match immediately, but they're going to give her a title match very soon.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, hey,
and based on the response, I mean, she deserves. People want to see it, so
yeah. Well, Battle of the Belts is literally in a week and a half. I mean,
yeah, I know.
So,
that's the other actually not knocked, but reason I wouldn't have her face Jade is Jade, for as great as Jade is, like, Jade's wrestled 38 matches in her career.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'd put someone who came back from a broken neck.
That's true.
In a match with someone who's only wrestled 40 matches. Not saying Jade is bad at her job. She's not. But
yeah, no,
I'd be a little scared to do that. I'd also be a little scared to put her in the ring with anyone who's gonna who does a lot of moves where they drop you on your head. Like, I would be scared to put her in certain matches with certain people.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I think Deeb is the safest bet. Yeah, I mean, unless they give her like a Rebel or Reba, whatever her name is, and just let her destroy somebody. But
yeah, that's also possible.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
But it's exciting. I mean,
it's very exciting.
I did not like I said, I completely forgot about her. So,
and you brought up a good point to put all these naysayers aside. She chose AEW,
right,
on her own validity. This was not.
She wasn't released or fired or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, her contract ran out, and they told her they weren't on the same page or something. It wasn't like they didn't want her, but I think she felt she was worth more or something.
Yeah, we don't know the exact situation.
Yeah, but there was something that it wasn't a falling out per se, but it was. This is me playing devil's advocate. I will just say that WWE's number is a little low, and there's a market to play now. So
yeah, that's why it's good. That's why even when people talk about people leaving AEW, like, some people are rumored to be leaving AEW or wanting to leave AEW. Yeah. Like, this is what we wanted to happen. You want there to be a situation where people move around. Like, you want there to be a situation where if you're not happy there, you don't have to just sit out your contract for 2 years and not be on. Like, you can do something. You can go somewhere else. You don't have to be buried by one company because there's another company that's willing to work with you. So
yeah,
it works both ways, and it's good.
100%. I'm gonna tell you what else was good. This freaking world title main event match between Mox and Danielson.
This was a excellent. I mean, I think I mentioned before that their last match was good, but it was a very technical sort of match. So this match was better. Like, this was their best match they've had against each other.
This was a fight.
Yeah.
I mean, well, see, I'm gonna ask you, because I was in picture-in-picture when I just wrote down Chop Fest.
Yeah.
That whole time I was in picture-in-picture here.
Yeah.
So, like, what were the announcers saying? Like, were they selling they're still hitting each other?
Yeah, they were kind of selling that, and as far as I remember, Regal was kind of just like into it, but also, like, he did a great job. He was kind of into it, but also worried. Like, I like both these guys. I want them to both win, and I like hard fighting, but I don't want them to kill each other.
Right. Right. Well, what a match. They like I said, it was. I'm gonna coin my catchphrase. They apologized after the match was over, shook hands, and beat the hell out of each other, and apologized later.
I don't even know, based on these two guys, if they apologized later. I feel like both of them were just like, "That's what I wanted. Good."
Yeah, well, that's true too. Like, like,
I think it's
going to be harder.
They'd be disappointed if this wasn't the match they got, and I know that's the Blackpool Combat Club gimmick, but I truthfully believe that about both of them.
I agree. Yes, that's They're both very prideful men.
Danielson is another guy, and Moxley, speaking on our theme, who their contracts ran out and they chose to come to AEW.
Yes. Yeah. So same with well, no, I was going to say, yeah, same with Mark Henry, correct? They didn't renew him either.
Yeah, no, Mark Henry was, his contract ran out. Like Regal was released, but the rest of them
Regal was, and so was Big
chose to
Show,
leave.
correct?
I think he asked for it though.
That's right, because he wanted to work at the Performance Center, which makes no sense. Why wouldn't you let him do that?
Yeah.
He worked for you for like 30 years, and he
Yeah,
wanted to train the next generation. You told
Mark
him no.
Henry and Big Show both left for like lack of respect. Like they just
Yeah.
weren't treated like they wanted to be treated.
What a surprise. Um, the thing that I liked about this match, it was a seamless. It went from being a street fight to a chain wrestling match to a no holds barred match to an MMA fight back to a wrestling match. Like, and
Yeah.
it was seamless.
And they can do all of it really. Like I don't
Yes, and
want
it
to
was all
gush over
high
them,
level.
but Mox and Danielson they're both so good at every style of wrestling, at every style of performance. Like they're both so good.
Yeah, 100%. It was everything about it was flawless. Like as far as like the ring work went. Again, they earned their "This is awesome" chant. Um, Mox became the three-time AEW World Champion. You were right on this one. I was wrong.
Were you annoyed at how often they cut to MJF in the crowd?
No, because I liked when they would do that, like the whole time he's been MJF.
Yeah.
Like, like when I was at the last Dynamite in Pittsburgh, we're up in the skybox throwing popcorn down on people.
Yeah.
That was the most entertaining thing.
I just think they cut to them a little too much. And even when they cut to like the wide shot, he was on the screen. Like I feel like they showed him like, not that I don't like MJF, but it kind of took away from the
No,
intensity of the match for me a little bit.
I see what you're saying now. I could totally see that.
Like it was a little too much. Like I get it. I know MJF is there. I'm trying to watch a wrestling match. Like it was a little much. And it made you immediately think, I mean, at least me personally, that he wasn't going to do anything, because if he was, they wouldn't show him that much.
And yeah, like was he going to run down in his suit and tie or
right? If they had if they had showed him earlier in the night and that's it, then I thought, maybe he would maybe he'd interfere in the match, he'd run down. But like because they showed him so often, they were kind of just. I get why they did it, because they were kind of trying to be like, he could do something. Keep pay attention. He might do something. But I thought it was a little much. Not like a big deal. Not like I disliked anything about it, but it was a little much.
I read. I was reading some things on Twitter, and
that's your first mistake.
Yes, very true. This was actually positive because it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Again, I didn't write down who it was though.
Of course not.
Of course not. Yeah, I'll learn. But they just brought up it was like just a funny thing. Like, hey, if this happened, this would be hilarious. Imagine if whoever Mox is wrestling next, and it goes, and MJF comes running down to cash in. Okay, and since if we're going to go by the rules that we know of how the cash in works, you present the briefcase / chip, the ref rings the bell, and then the match starts. Well, they were like, Mox is all bloody and on the ground, and MJF runs in the ring and he accidentally drops the chip. Mox picks the chips up, beats the hell out of MJF. The ref picks it up and he pins MJF, and it's the most anticlimactic thing. And then MJF is mad and pissed off again. I was like, I'd be in heaven. That'd be the most hilarious thing.
I would just love to see them. They just show MJF through, like how they showed him on the screen with the briefcase, or not briefcase, with the chip.
Yeah,
it is a little WWE-ish to have this gimmick, but what are you gonna do? Yeah. If they just throughout the night just randomly cut to MJF, like in matches that didn't involve anyone, and like it wasn't a world title match. They just like, by the way, MJF's still here, just like throughout the night.
Still has the chip.
Just so you know, MJF. It reminds me of when WWE did the countdown to Cody in the bottom of the corner, being like, remember, he still works here.
Oh, that was great. But Dynamite Grand Slam, also great.
Yes, great show. One of like I said, one of the best TV wrestling shows I've seen in a while.
That was probably the best as you said, TV / non pay-per-view card in decades. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like last year's Grand Slam had the really good Omega Danielson match.
yeah,
But as a whole, this show was better.
for sure.
Like as a whole show, like 2 hours long, it was a better show.
Well, we still had 2 hours left. Moving on to Rampage Grand Slam. And again, they just come out firing, which Tony Khan, keep it up. We know, friend of the show, Tony Khan. We know you're listening. Just kidding. House of Black versus Darby and Sting. I'm going to throw it right to you. How awesome was the beginning of this match?
Yeah, I mean the whole match was great, but like, yeah, I loved it. I loved how they immediately just kind of went nuts.
It was great.
And I like that they did that because, first of all, to the TV audience, it was a match that was opening the show, so you wanted
right
get people into it. But to the audience that's there, they just saw a Danielson Moxley match and then probably a pretty decently long break in between the two. So this was a really good way to get everyone back into it.
And like the way it started fire. I mean,
yeah,
it was just, I mean, you pointed out to me, I didn't even realize it. They were going for like 5 minutes for the bell even rang.
Yeah.
You were like, dude, this match hasn't even started yet.
It hasn't started. It didn't start and I love that. I love matches that like have chaos before the match starts. I think it's great.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's such a 1997 way to have a wrestling match, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Because then, I mean, there's no rules yet because it didn't start. I mean, you just can apparently assault people. Like there's no repercussions. When Brody King set Darby on the top rope and just chopped him to the floor, I should laugh because I mean that was gnarly, but that was crazy.
Yeah, Darby's, as we know, a crazy person, and Brody King is like he's more and more impressive, I have to say, like all the time. Like he plays his role of like a big evil mean guy. Like he does a really good job at it, and he's talented, and he's becoming a really big deal out of this group.
Yes. This match was so good. When Brody King again gets the Avalanche Code Red from Darby. I was going to say Sting. Sting didn't do that. I've never seen Darby do that before, let alone with Brody. Like the one from, was it the middle rope or does he go off the top rope?
Top rope, I think.
It's off the top and the guy's in the middle.
Yeah.
Like Brody King was on the middle rope. Correct?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Either way, it's insanity.
So random question I thought of actually while this match was happening. What's the difference between a Code Red and a Canadian Destroyer?
I think it is just what Darby, it's like his signature move. So he named it that.
But I've heard other people call it a Code Red.
Oh, I don't know. I just thought it was, I literally.
No, I've heard other people call it that. I think there is a difference, but I don't know what it is.
Interesting. Huh.
Well, so if anyone's listening and if Excalibur, if you're out there and you know
Excalibur, while you're listening,
tell us the difference between a Code Red and a Canadian Destroyer. I think there is one, but I don't know what it is.
That's impressive. I did not know that. Yeah, like I said, I totally just thought that it was like Darby's signature move, so he called it a Code Red. Very cool.
And when did Sting go through the table?
The very next very next thing.
Very next, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because he was climbing to put Buddy Matthews. He was going to do the Stinger Splash.
Right.
Brody just pushed him.
That looked bad. I was worried about Sting. His head hit that second table. Like I was concerned.
Oh, a lot of heads in this match.
Yeah.
a lot of bad head spots.
What is he, 62, Sting?
Yeah. 62 years old.
Crazy.
Like honestly, imagine being Brody King, and you're talking like they go through like the big spots,
right?
Like they didn't go move for move, but Sting comes up to you in the back, is like, all right, dude, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put Buddy down there on the table, and I'm gonna climb on the top rope. Just chuck me off. And you're like, oh, okay.
and Sting proposed it too, because
Yeah,
that definitely. It's not like anyone else said. No one else is telling Sting to put himself through a table.
well,
Like Sting
yeah,
came up with that on his own. Yeah.
yeah. Like Brody King did say, hey, Sting, we got a minute. I'll be in catering. I have something to go over with you.
I think, and I feel like this is real. I don't think I imagined this. I think when the Hardys first came, when Jeff Hardy first came, and he climbed up and he jumped off like the second story in the hallway.
Yeah.
From what I heard, I think Matt was talking that when they were looking around the arena. They were looking around the arena for something they could jump off of, basically.
Yes.
And they were like, "Hey, jump off that!" And even Jeff was a little skeptical, and Sting was like, "If you're not going to do it, I'll do it.
I'll do it." It's unbelievable.
He's great.
Like, he has to be beyond peak physical condition, because I mean, he's not doing this every week, obviously,
right?
But he's basically on TV every week, and he's not limping.
Right.
Like, if someone did that to me, I'd still be laying there. Right? I'd actually be in the hospital. They'd have to scrape me off the floor, and I'd be in the hospital.
I honestly feel like he thinks of it. He's like on borrowed time now, because he basically retired, right? So that this is all bonus. This is stuff he didn't expect to ever get. I mean, AEW didn't exist when he retired, so he thought that was it.
Right.
So this is all bonus for him. So he's just gonna go do whatever he wants, and it's great.
I mean, let's go. This was nuts. Getting the drop off the tunnel onto Buddy with nothing to break either of their falls.
Right.
8 foot tall and landed on his back.
Backwards. Yeah, just like fling yourself off of it and just hope you hit the guy and hope he like can catch you enough that you don't just
Unbelievable. And that just set up was on like the left side of the stage by the announce table, and then Brody drags Darby to the right side of the stage where they both go. And Darby's, when you sent me that picture, Darby literally cracked his head.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
Yeah, he had like staples.
And thank God we stayed off the internet. And thank God people didn't send us spoilers.
I think honestly, and I know like we're old people, but for me, this was a Saraya level pop for me. This was like, wow, I was so excited. I was so excited.
Right. Like, I screamed and I applauded because the Great Muta.
It was really cool.
So cool. And then it's going to lead to the second bad head bump of the night. The Muta, or not the Muta, sorry. He, Buddy Matthews gets out of his way thinking that, everybody thinks that, he's going to miss Sting because of their battles, which Jericho kept explaining to people who didn't necessarily know who the Great Muta was.
Right, and who didn't know his history with Sting. Yes, I didn't know that. I didn't watch WCW as much as a lot of people did, so I knew who he was, obviously, but I didn't know the extent of the history between them, so that was good.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. And then he turns. He doesn't give it to Sting. Sting is just doing the crazy maniacal laugh, which I thought
was like really the TNA Joker. Like when he was in TNA, he kind of had that Joker-y gimmick, Yeah.
And the heart bumped off the apron, and literally the back half of like her legs basically hit the tape, her head to the concrete.
Yeah, it looked bad. It looked bad.
Yeah. She was okay though. I don't know how you could do that and not be concussed. Just saying.
Yeah, she tweeted that she was okay. So
yeah, there was so much 90s wrestling happened in the last like minute and a half of this match. He breaks the handcuffs. Drop on Matthews. 1, 2, 3. Sting and Darby win. Hit Muta and Sting. Really cool. I would have never guessed that I would have got to see the Great Muta, and that just added to it.
Yeah, it was great. It was everything about it was great. I loved it.
Yes. Then we had, I think I messaged this to you halfway through this match. 2.0 versus and Hook. 2.0 was the perfect tag team for this type of match.
Yeah, definitely. They were in the ring. They were great, and
yes,
the build up they did on the countdown show was excellent.
Unbelievable.
I mean, 2.0 needs. Yes. I say this all the time, but this kind of stuff needs to be on TV.
I agree. Or pushed on TV. More people needs more eyes.
Yeah, because their promos are on there, and the promos they do on TV are good, but they're not at the same level as they are on the road twos and the countdown shows like that.
Right.
They're great.
They're so good. Johnson playing Hook to the ring. I think either maybe you said that'd be really cool if they did that, which they did, and it was cool. Taz on commentary, which I don't know how Taz just doesn't, break down and start crying every time his son's in the ring. It has to be an awesome feeling for him. Like it has to be. Like
for sure.
Like I said, 2.0 is perfect team for this match, and I'm just gonna say this right now. Action Bronson legit surprised the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, wow. I mean, he's clearly not a wrestler, but for like a guy who's never done it, you could tell he was tired. Like he got winded from it, but like it was impressive.
Because normally you have these like celebrity matches, like whenever was it on Dynamite one time, Snoop Dogg had a match.
Yeah,
like, it was funny. But that's all it was. It was funny. Like
Action Bronson. It's partially because of his size, but he looks legitimate. Like he could fight you.
And he took the time to learn some moves.
Right.
Like, he was in there training with Taz and Hook, and it showed. It was awesome.
It was good.
And the double red rum at the end, I thought was really cool.
That was really cool. I didn't expect that, and I liked it.
Yeah. So let's go more Hook. Please, more. Well, no, not more Hook. I like Hook being a spectacle, and that's. I've been meaning to ask you this. What are your thoughts on Hook now? Like, should he be focused on a little more, or keep him a spectacle?
I like I like the spectacle aspect of him. I mean, he is still young. He is still not that experienced. So the way they're pushing him now makes him look like a big deal. It makes him look impressive, but it doesn't like overexpose him.
Right.
Maybe he wouldn't be as special if he was wrestling every single week or every other week, right? But like the way it is now, when his music hits and he comes out, like people love it because you don't expect that. So I like it.
I like it too, because being 22 years old, 23, whatever it is, like absurdly young. He's going to be maybe not AEW for a long time, but professional wrestling for a long time.
Right.
So don't seeing him now once every couple weeks, or even if it's just a promo every couple weeks or something, we're going to see him a lot in the next upcoming years. So
and he kind of has this, like, it's not mysterious, but it's he's not around all the time, so when he does show up, it's a big deal. And you don't really know too much about, like, he's Taz's son. He spoke a little bit, but you don't know too. And I like that you don't know too much about him. He's
it's fantastic.
I think they're doing a really good job with him.
I agree.
There are some people in AEW that I think we need to see more of. I don't think he's one of them, and that's not because I don't like him. I love him. I just think it works for his presentation.
Yes, 100%. This match. The following match, Josh Woods, Tony Nese versus Wardlow and Joe. Now, Rick, we always talk about, me and you, we've been watching wrestling for a long time. We're smart Mark at the beginning saying there's no way people were going to get their hands on him. I mean, that's verbatim, dude. No one was touching him, right? I think I even messaged you, like, I wonder if there's people on the internet that realize that means Smart Mark's going to get destroyed.
I always do that because it always happens.
Oh, yeah, every single time.
It always reminds me of this promo when Paul Heyman turned on Brock Lesnar and joined Big Show. And they had a whole promo before the match where he just kept saying, "You can't F5 the Big Show." then what's going to happen. 100%. He's going to F5 the Big Show. That's what's happening. Because you don't say it 50 times if it's not going to happen.
Right.
So as soon as someone comes out and goes, you can't put your hands on me, well, that's what's happening.
Yes. I mean, come on. I thought Joe and Wardlow having matching ring gear was fascinating for some reason.
I love whenever a team that you don't expect to be a team does that. I love it.
Yeah. Now I know that really wasn't hard for Joe. I mean, he just his shorts are just two pieces of material sewn together,
and one half is always black, so the other half
he just added green. So.
Yeah, he probably already owns those, but yeah,
you're probably right. But it was really cool. Whenever Joe walked away from Tony Nese's moonsault. Seriously, I was not expecting to see it. I thought that was the coolest thing anyone's ever done in a wrestling.
I've seen him do that like once or twice. Like on occasion. So cool. He's done it before, but he doesn't do it often, and I like it.
Oh, it was just the coolest because it was literally so cool. Like, dude, seriously? He just looked at him and then he jumped on. Oh, it was great. Match really wasn't that long.
No. Do you think that, not just this match, but in general, do you think Josh Woods and Tony Nese should be, I mean, they kind of get squashed all the time. Do you think that they deserve better than that?
I do, but I also like that they're always against, like, the odds are almost always against them.
Right.
That's what I kind of, so they're going to overcome one of these tasks. And it's going to be huge for them. So I kind of obviously they weren't going to beat Samoa Joe and Wardlow, obviously. But,
right.
I don't know, just say Woods and Nese versus 2.0. Like, I could see them beating them.
Right. Yeah, they're not getting squashed by nobodies. They're getting squashed by Wardlow and Samoa Joe, which, like, that makes sense.
Right. And then they always get the upper hand at the end, which what I was going to get to. It was a fast match, but I think the shenanigans afterwards were longer than the match.
Yeah.
Woods jumps Joe. Then Nese joins in. And this whole time, Wardlow, let's give Wardlow credit. I forgot to write this down. I legit thought Wardlow hurt his knee. What a great sell.
Yeah, he did a good job.
And what a great way for them to concentrate just on Joe. So it was 2-on-1 for a minute. I thought that was really cool. Then Wardlow does, we've found out that he wasn't hurt. He clears the ring. And then, I mean, Mark Sterling claimed no one's going to touch him. I know we went over this, but Ariza tuned up the symphony and Mark took about 4 or 5, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was 4.
4?
I think. Hey. I don't remember. I think 4.
He took him with dignity.
Yes.
and this match, of all the matches that were on Grand Slam, that match, Woods, Nese, Wardlow, and Joe, that was the funnest match, in my opinion, of the week.
Yeah, and this whole Rampage seemed like it was a very fun show. If it makes sense. Like, the matches were obviously still good, but it was more, not to say that it was like a comedy show, but it was geared more towards fun things. Even like the first match when it was a big brawl, but it also had Great Muta come out and everyone's happy. Right. Like, it was a making you happy type show, which I liked.
Yeah, it was it was a feel good show. Like, it was. And then I'm giving you credit of the century here. You called the ending of this next match, even though I think there was a little sarcasm behind it the week before, but you did call it. Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Rey Fenix. Let's just talk about how awesome Rey Fenix is for a few minutes here.
Yeah. I'm wondering if, and I don't know if this is the case, but I feel like, is this a potential singles run for him? Not saying they're going to split up the Lucha Bros, but is he going to get more singles opportunities?
You texted me that during this match, and at the time I said I don't think so. I think it just makes sense. But after I thought about it, I could see that. And again, this has nothing to do with Penta speaking worse English and Phoenix speaking a little better English. But Ray doesn't necessarily need Alex Abrahantes, so you can put him. And if someone needs to cut a promo, like, he can speak fairly good English, and uh, he doesn't need the Alex Abrahantes character. So.
And I think his overall, presentation seems more like he could be a singles wrestler. Like Penta Penta's very gimmick, like the Zero Muro thing, and like it's a really big gimmick to him. Ray Phoenix, and it's not just because he has the same first name. Like he's very young Rey Mysterio.
I agree.
I could see him having more singles matches than he currently, because I don't remember him being in too many singles matches before this.
Yeah, every once
in a while he'd be in one, but
that was few and far between. Ray Phoenix, like everybody knows, two wrestlers working together, and the referee's the third guy. When Ray Phoenix is in the ring, and the ring's the third guy.
Yeah, for sure.
50-50 match, majority of the match. I thought that was really cool. It was,
and a really long match. Like it went through like 2 commercial breaks. Like it was a pretty long match.
It was the opposite of the match we were going to get.
Yes.
They have been doing this recently. What was the match maybe last week or the week before?
Oh, Joe and Josh Woods. I thought would be more of like I thought we'd get more of the match that we did get in the tag team match. Like it would be like a shorter fight type match, but it wasn't.
Yeah. And this was literally almost a mat wrestling match.
It was a lot more technical and a lot more physical than I would have expected from both of them.
Yeah. Well, the pitch, and then they had, so did the announcing team put that when I was in commercial?
Yeah, I mean a little bit. They talked a lot about just the intensity of the match, like the the evenness of the match, kind of, and Jericho would rant about both of them. But it was and they basically spent the night putting both of them over. Like they're both really good, they're both really talented. They're, even Jericho would be like, I don't like them, but they're both. So
right.
And they did. I think you noticed it. They went back and forth in whether they were calling him Jack Perry or Jungle Boy, which I think they're kind of easing into the Jack Perry aspect of it, which is good.
He can't be Jungle Boy forever. Like,
he can't be like 40 years old and be Jungle Boy.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's like I said. I think I said it a couple of weeks ago in the Young Bucks book. Like we were like 4 years into our career, and then they realized, oh man, we picked a terrible name. We can't be the Young Bucks forever.
Yeah.
But great match. When Ray Phoenix hit the super kick off the apron, that's an apron move that I can accept.
Right.
You're not driving someone into it.
Right.
But it was just a fantastic move. We had the clean pin from Boy or Jack Perry. And then we had the coolest thing happen of the night. Well, no, Great Muta was the coolest thing, but coolest thing happening of the night. Christian Cage came back, and that's what I talked about earlier. You totally called this, and he even came out with the sling on.
I liked it. I liked the whole. It was a little strange because I get why they did it. Like they faded to black and then came back. Like I get why they did it for like ratings purposes. I understand that. And Christian's a good person to do that on, because if you're watching the show and they fade to black with Christian there, you're like, I want to see what he has to say. So you'll wait. Like, it made perfect sense. And then the Luchasaurus coming out, I loved his line of you hurt my right arm, so now you're introduced to my right hand. I thought that was great. It was really good. All of it's really good. I think this is eventually going to be, whenever Christian's healed, this is going to be a really good, like, tough stipulation match they're going to have with the two of them, and it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, they're either going to have like a Iron Man match or Cage or 2 out of 3
something.
Like, big time stipulation match.
And in the meantime, looks like we're going to get Jungle Boy Luchasaurus, which is going to be fun.
Oh, that's going to be so fun because you know how many practice matches those guys have had together. You know what I mean? Just traveling all those years, like getting to they weren't in arenas, but getting to the gymnasium early, and the matches that they're going to put together, they've probably wrestled this match 1,000 times.
And it's the classic, like, big monster
big versus little,
young tough guy. Like, it's little guy. It's great.
And the other line in Christian's promo that was amazing that says, "No matter what you do, or even when you do it, I'm still one step ahead of you."
Right.
So good.
Yeah.
Just saying that I'm in control here, dude. Like,
right.
Oh, perfect, Christian. And I know I sound bad about WWE all the time, but Christian has obviously had this in him this whole time. And wasn't he kind of this character a little bit in his TNA run?
Yeah, he was. He never
like
really got a chance
arrogant.
he never really got a chance to do it much in WWE. And the few times he did, it worked. Like, it got over.
Right.
And then they kind of just let it die out. Like, I don't know, whatever reason. Like, I think I've told you before, I think the rumors is Vince McMahon just doesn't like him. Like, personally, he just doesn't like him.
Oh yeah, he's a stupid face or something.
Or something. Like, for whatever reason, he just doesn't like him, and it doesn't make sense. I think it really seems like, because when this is my own theory, I don't know if this is true, but because when the Rockers split up, obviously Shawn Michaels significantly more successful than Marty Jannetty. I think in Vince McMahon's eyes, when a tag team splits up, only one of them can be successful. I think that's what it is.
He's a crazy person, so yes.
So he was like, well, that one's Edge, so...
yeah, so you have no chance, buddy.
So you got nothing, right?
Yeah, so...
It's weird. Wow. Very weird.
Very weird.
But I'm glad that Christian... I mean, he's one of the guys who chose to leave.
Again,
so,
yeah.
I mean, they didn't for all of what I've heard is he came back at the Royal Rumble and was like, okay, guys, what are you doing next? And they just didn't tell him. Like, they just gave him nothing. So he's like, all right, I'm done here. And just like...
Yeah, I mean... yeah, why waste your time? The next Eddie versus Sammy. We're just go right into it. Wonderful match.
Yeah, it was great. It was what you expected it to be, but that's great.
Yeah,
like that's what I wanted it to be.
And I keep using the term blurring the lines. Eddie and Sammy both blurred the lines leading up into this, and then Sammy blurred the lines with what he said. I should have called you fat years ago or something.
Yeah, that was perfect, because if you know what the rumors are, you know that's why they both got suspended. So
correct. And again, whether that was a shoot or a work shoot or a shooted worked, whatever you want to call it,
it worked out. Yeah,
it worked out perfectly.
And this was another case of Eddie's promo before that they only aired on Road 2.
Yeah.
Excellent promo. Even though, except that he said they're going to wrestle at Dynamite. Other than that.
He did say that.
Other than that. Sorry. I was surprised when they re-aired that promo, not aired, but I mean put on YouTube for the countdown. Yeah. They didn't edit it out. They left in that we're going to meet at Dynamite when Dynamite already happened. Like, it's not.
Hey. It's all good. Like, nobody can edit Eddie, you know?
That's true. That's true.
There's just so many moves that were pulled off by Sammy that you would think wouldn't work in like a brawl. Like, Eddie's a brawler. Sammy's obviously a high flyer.
Yeah.
But it was almost like the opposites attract scenario. Like, Sammy would hit a big, would hit an exploder suplex or just club him over the head.
Sammy worked surprisingly well his style worked surprisingly well and was basically just a fight. Like he managed to still be Sammy, but for whatever reason it worked.
My favorite part of the match, Sammy hits the double jump cutter, and I don't know, 12 seconds later, Eddie just stood up, was like, nah. And then he just grabs him. and he puts him in. I always forget the name of his finisher. Uh, I can't
Stretch
think of it
plum.
now. Yeah, there it is. Good
There you
call.
go.
Puts him in it, and talking about the honor that Jericho has brought to the company. He doesn't. He wins the match initially. Eddie does. Hold does refuses to release the hold. Gets disqualified. What were your thoughts on the ending?
My initial thought was just let Eddie win, like just let him have a big win. Like I really wanted him to get a big win. And I was slightly disappointed. It worked out really, like the storyline was good because the Tony Khan being like, you refs screwed up earlier, so start doing a better job. And it worked that like he hates Sammy so much that he's lost it kind of.
Yeah.
The only other time I remember seeing this finish was, speaking of Ken Shamrock, I remember him doing that to The Rock. I think it was possibly at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
When The Rock was like Intercontinental Champion, I think, and he held on to the ankle lock for too long because he was just so mad at The Rock. Like it works as an angle.
Yes.
I just didn't. I want Eddie to get a big win just because I want to see it, and I want him to like have the crowd just behind him, and no shenanigans, no extra stuff, just Eddie getting the win. And I kind of want him to move on to another feud, and I feel like this is extending it longer.
Or then again, Sammy just says, dude, you're insane. I'm not coming within 30 feet of you anymore.
Yeah, and Eddie could just be like, well, I already beat you up. I don't need to.
Yeah, dude, I beat you up so bad they had to pull me off you.
Right.
So it might have ended it. But going on, that's what I was going to ask you. Is going to be my curveball question. Who do you want to see both of these guys go after next, or in a program with next?
That's a good one. Eddie, I really want him to be, like I said, I really want him to get a big win. He's not going to beat Moxley.
Right.
I would love to see that match. I mean, they've already had a kind of a feud and they've had a friendship. I'd love to see them back together. But I don't know. I'm not sure. That's a good one because I want Eddie to win. So I don't want it to be like, I don't want it to be someone who I think should beat him. I want him to win. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, Sammy, I would love to see. It just slipped right out of my mind. I could picture the person right now. Oh, Jay Lethal. I'd love to see Sammy and Jay Lethal.
Yeah, that would work.
I know they kind of did a little thing when the Sammy had the TNT title, but like I want like a full blown feud. I know they're both heels too, but that's just we're playing fantasy booking here.
Yeah.
And for Eddie, honestly, I'd like to see Eddie Kingston. Oh man, I don't know.
I think if Adam Cole was cleared, I would like to see him with against Adam Cole, and that would work really well.
Eddie and Claudio.
Yeah, they have a history there, so that would work.
Yeah, there's a little history there. That would be a good one, and it's like, it still has ties to like the Blackpool.
Yeah, I want to see him against someone who's more polished than him, someone who he can be like, I'm a fighter. Who are you? Like, I want something like that.
Yeah.
But I can't think of particularly who right now. Ethan Page, that'd be good.
Oh, him and Ethan would be good. Eddie and Brody King.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
There's a lot of options.
We're gonna have the TBS title on the line. Diamante versus Jade. And I totally forgot to write down the name of the person that Jade was with because not Jade, the Diamante was with.
Trina.
I had no idea who it was.
Trina.
Okay.
She's a rapper. I only found that out now, like as I was watching the show.
That's all I knew too, and I kept missing her name, and I forgot to write it down. Trina. So, I thought this was a fantastic showing for Diamante.
Yeah.
I thought she did a heck of a job, and we all knew that Jade was going to win.
Of course.
Yeah. But Diamante was another lady who came up through the dark elevation pandemic era, and she did a heck of a job every week. I thought it was really cool that she got this opportunity.
It did seem kind of like a reward for her. Like, you've done good work.
Yeah.
Like, you get to, yeah.
Whenever Diamante jumped off the second rope to the floor and Jade caught her, dude, that was insanity.
I like because Jade did a really good job. Like, she kind of stumbled catching her. Like, obviously, no offense to her. Like, it's a tough thing to do to catch someone flying out of the air. Like, yeah. But she played it off really well. I feel like Jade from 6 months or a year ago would have, like, botched it and dropped her or something. But like Jade now, like, played it off really well and managed to still look impressive while doing it.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. That was fabulous. Obviously, Jade gets the easy win. Well, not easy win, but I would probably go on record to say, too, this is probably one of Jade's longer matches.
Yeah, she had one, I think, on maybe the Rampage that you were at might have been longer, but
oh yeah, because that was that was her 20-0, correct?
Yeah, but yeah, one of her longer matches.
Yeah, and then Trina, there it is. I had to turn the page. I forgot her name already. Trina was not a fan of Diamante losing, so she gave props to Jade.
I do kind of like that. Like, I came here with this other person, but you're really cool, so I'm gonna I'm gonna walk out of the ring with you.
Yeah. Now this next match was the Golden Ticket Battle Royal, and I'm going to apologize to everybody. I tried to take notes on this as much as I could, and then I just stopped because
it was a lot of chaos.
Yeah,
but like good chaos, like entertaining chaos.
Oh yes, still
totally. Chaos.
Yeah, I wasn't going to watch this match 300 times to know that Satnam Singh clothesline somebody on the outside. No, like it's.
It was just fun. This was another example of just fun.
It was totally a fun match. And speaking of fun, they have everybody come down, and I thought it was cool to had the shotgun start or whatever WCW used to call it.
Yeah, and I liked how they also attacked Hangman, which made sense because he's obviously the biggest threat in the match. So,
but my favorite all-time part was they come back from commercial, and for some reason everybody's fighting and Danhausen's just standing on the ramp. Nobody even go back and watch. It's hilarious. He just has a cape on and he's standing there. Chaos. And then they all fill him into the ring, and then he just walks in the ring. It was just fantastic.
Danhausen does such a good job, just being Danhausen. Like, he knows this Danhausen character really. Obviously, he created it, but he knows what Danhausen would do in every situation. Right. He knows how to interact with people. He just does such a good job of. He's clearly fleshed out the Danhausen character. He knows how he would react in any situation. It's really good.
Yeah, and I mean, in the notes, everybody loves Danhausen because he took over the whole match.
Yeah,
2 minutes that he was in it.
Yeah,
and when him and Lance Archer were fighting each other, I was just laughing because I know that they're really close friends.
Yeah,
and Danhausen tortures Lance Archer, so I was thinking he was probably trying to make him laugh.
Yeah,
it's amazing, but nobody cared when anybody got eliminated. Except 20,000 people booed when Danhausen.
Yeah,
he got the biggest cheer and the biggest boo, and whoever eliminated him got booed too for a minute. It was great.
I liked seeing Lance Archer because I feel like he deserves. I know he was away. I think he was in Japan for a while.
Yes, he was.
But I would like to see him do more things because I really like him.
Oh, he's incredible. Oh, hey, we almost forgot to mention Brian Cage was also in this match.
Yes, Brian Cage. Brian Cage sighting. Everyone saw Brian Cage. He still works there. He was on TV.
You texted me, and I didn't see him yet, and I just thought you were being funny. And I was like, "Oh, dude, no, he's really there."
Because he got a haircut or something. I wasn't.
Yeah, he has a mohawk now.
I wasn't 100% sure that was him, and I was like, "Is that Brian Cage?" I think it is. He did not win. Despite what we were hoping for. Brian Cage he's not a double-time Battle Royal champion.
Though he did have a very decent showing. I
Yes,
will
he
say
did.
that it was impressive.
Tony Khan really wants to push ROH, but he's like, fine, we'll let Brian Cage look good.
Right,
We'll
exactly.
give him some offense.
The Satnam Singh spot when he caught Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
That was that for 5 minutes. That was my favorite thing that happened during this match until Dalton Castle has to one up Jay Lethal, have the boys catch him,
and then
and
parade him
around.
around. Yeah,
as he says he was slapping 5 with people at ringside. I thought it was so great. I love Dalton Castle. That was an amazing moment. The final two, Roosh and Hangman, crowd on their feet. Well, the crowd was on their feet for probably about the last 5 minutes of this match. Honestly, for a battle royal, it was a very good match. Most
especially
battle royals,
with, and no offense to anyone in it, like a lot of guys who weren't going to win. Like
exactly,
Danhausen's not winning, Dalton Castle not winning. Like they're not going to win the match, but they all, like Brian Cage, like none of them are going to win.
right?
But they all did a really entertaining job.
Yeah,
and it was a lot of mid card guys who you don't get to see on TV that much. So they all took advantage of the situation they had. It was good. It was fun.
And well, you know what, you just brought up a good point, that the Jade Diamante match was maybe like some thank you, some goodwill for Diamante. I bet you that's what this battle royal was, because there were a lot of people that you have not seen in a long time.
Yeah,
in this match.
And I remember WWE would do this. They would have a battle royal like at WrestleMania. That's why they came up with the Andre the Giant battle royal, just so you could be on WrestleMania. They just put you in a match. I feel like this was a big show for AEW, and you're right. A lot of people who aren't on TV, but work hard and are maybe on Dark or maybe on Elevation a lot. Like we're going to give you a chance to go out in front of a big crowd,
and some of those people, that might have been the biggest crowd they were ever in front. Like Danhausen probably never wrestled in front of 20,000 people.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Satnam Singh. I mean, Satnam Singh wasn't wrestling, but no, he was in NBA, so never mind. He was in front of but he was in front of big crowds. I totally forgot he played basketball.
Yeah, but like someone like Danhausen, I never even thought of that he's what's the biggest crowd prior to this was probably like a crowd on Dynamite. Like prior to AEW, he was not in front of big crowds.
Yeah, he was, Ring of Honor held 500 people, so yeah, absolutely. Which had to be an awesome feeling too.
Especially because they love him so much.
Yeah, everybody loves Danhausen.
Speaking of which, not to go onto a big tangent, I want to see some sort of interaction between Danhausen and the Acclaimed.
Oh, yes.
You just made me think of it because you said everyone loves Danhausen, and it reminded me everyone loves the Acclaimed. And I want to see some sort of interaction with them, even not a match, just backstage, just something, because it would be funny.
Or it would be funny to have Max have his little notebook out and writing down something, and then Danhausen just add Hausen to the end of everything, and then it all rhymes.
That's good. Make it rhyme. Just put Hausen. Yeah, that's great.
But he's like, but Danhausen, nothing rhymes with Danhausen. Everything rhymes with Danhausen. Just put Friendhausen, Househausen,
Wrestlehausen. There you go.
Yeah, it all rhymes. Main event for the week, which
we didn't mention Hangman Wade. Hangman won.
Oh yeah, Hangman wins. Good call. Hangman wins, and he gets. Have they announced the date yet?
Yep, it's the one that's on Tuesday.
Oh yes, it's
whatever the Dynamite that's on Tuesday. Yeah, which makes sense because you want to get people to tune in on a night when they don't normally tune in, you have to have a big match, especially because NXT is on that night. So.
Oh yeah.
They definitely want to beat. They definitely want to beat NXT.
And they're probably going to.
I mean, they did before. They crushed them.
And that's when they had Adam Cole and Keith Lee and Swerve. Now all those guys are here.
I know they will do this because remember when they had SmackDown overran against Rampage because it was on a different channel?
Oh, yeah.
And they put on, I think it was Ty Conti against someone. I forget who now. But whatever it was, it was the match that NXT put on the one time NXT beat Dynamite. They put the same match on just to say we have them now.
Okay.
The Dynamite that's airing against NXT is going to have Keith Lee and Swerve
Oh,
and
yeah.
as many NXT people as they could possibly put on that show.
Yeah.
Just to like,
they might even call some. They might even get Mia Yim in from from TNA or not TNA Impact.
So it makes perfect sense that Hangman and Moxie are on that show because you definitely want an audience for that.
Yeah, and that's a good call.
And they never had a singles match. I just learned that recently. They've never had a singles match with each other, so that'll be fun.
Oh wow, I never realized that either. I'm making a note here that he's on for Tuesday Night Dynamite.
Yeah, and I like that the announcers kind of, because I forget who it was. I think it was JR was like, "Oh, that match is in Cincinnati. You're going to see Hangman against Moxley in his hometown."
In his hometown.
And I think it might have been Jericho even who chimed in, if he has the title, because MJF could win it in between now and then. It was really good to remember that, to put that in there. That was good. Like, it's not guaranteed that it's going to be Moxley because MJF could win.
Jericho is such a professional.
He is.
He's literally, again, I know Brian Myers goes by the gimmick, the most professional wrestler, but that might actually be Chris Jericho in real life. Just because he's so on.
At least in wrestling. I don't know about outside of his life, but yes, in wrestling. Yes.
In wrestling, he's he is so on and so in tune with what. That's how, I understand that Vince liked him, but he has his finger on the pulse of what the fans want, and WWE never does.
Yeah.
So it had to be frustrating.
Yeah.
Main event time. We had to put the lights out. It wasn't a sanctioned match, which you hit the nail on the head with this one too. Hobbs versus Starks. What a entrance they gave Ricky Starks.
Yeah, it was a superstarish entrance for him. I want to say nice stuff about Ricky Starks, but he tweeted that he hates pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
So I'm mad at Ricky Starks now. So now I feel like all the good things I was going to say, I don't know if I want to say them anymore. I might not want to say any of those things. Maybe I really wanted Hobbs to win.
Well, I was going to say if Hobbs was smart, he'd just tweet out, "I mess with pumpkin spice."
Yeah, or he'd be on Dynamite like drinking a latte.
or I hope that's what he does.
Yeah.
Just hope he has it doesn't have to say anything on it. Just have his Starbucks cup in his hand.
Yeah.
On his next promo.
Yeah.
Will Hobbs is a beast. He's obviously huge. Just look at him. But was not aware that he was this technically sound until this match. What a wrestler.
Yeah, for sure.
He worked Ricky's neck for 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah, ring psychology wise, he definitely knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And again, I don't know if that's coming from the likes of Dustin Rhodes, and
I feel like it might have come from Taz.
Or Taz, or whoever's teaching these guys backstage. They're doing a hell of a job.
And this match and this feud did what it's hard to do in a feud. They're both more over now. They're both a bigger deal than they were before this started.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It just helped both of them. It didn't hurt or hinder. Either loss now has not hindered either of them.
Yeah. And that's hard to do, but they did a really good job with it.
Yes. Now, as great of a wrestling match this is, let's talk about the chair situation with Ricky's.
Yeah.
So to put it in perspective, if you haven't seen it, they put the chairs so they were back to back. So
sitting up like you would put a chair when you're sitting in a chair. Yeah.
Yeah. So people, and then Hobbs suplexes Ricky onto the apex of the chair.
I think it was it a back body drop? I think. Or was it a suplex? No, either way. Either way, the small of his back hit the backs of the chairs.
And he literally ended up on his feet and then fell. He literally just did a fall.
I know I sound like JR talking about this, but you can't fake that. There's no.
Yeah.
Even if I think you said even if those were gimmick chairs, they exist in reality, right? They're
they didn't
crumple underneath him. They're hard enough. They're hard enough that he hurt. Like he hit them and bounced off. Like,
yeah. Now, again, in the moment, you're in front of, I keep saying 20,000. I don't know if there are 20,000
I
there.
think it was like 15, but yeah.
Okay. For argument's sake, you're in front of a huge crowd. No way he felt that then.
Right.
But, Thursday morning, I bet getting out of his hotel bed was...
Yeah. Like, how could that not hurt?
Right.
Like, I've slept wrong and been sore the next day. So,
right. Yeah. I mean, even I grew up, I played hockey, skateboarded, snowboarded, did all that stuff. In the moment, you take a bad fall, some idiot slashes you or something,
right.
It's whatever, you move on. But then, I mean, eventually that goes away. But that was a whole nother level of pain.
Yeah, like this is the most Canadian story ever. But I remember being out. I remember being out and like just walking down the sidewalk and like slipping on ice and falling really hard on my back. But like I'm out in public, so like I'm not gonna lay there on the ground.
Right.
So I'm like, no, I'm fine. And I got up and just like walked home, and then got home and was like, oh God. And like I was in so much pain.
Oh,
and like
worst.
I didn't hit a chair. I just hit the ground. Right. So,
right. And that's like, I think about that all the time too. Like, just think about what you said. You fell from standing on the ground to your back.
Right.
Okay, we talked about 30 minutes ago. Darby jumped off like a 12-foot structure and onto his back.
Yeah, like I really hope that this is not the case, but it really seems like someone's going to get seriously hurt. And it's not even just necessarily an AEW thing. Like this is where wrestling is now. And it's dangerous. Like it really is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And that was a planned spot. Like that wasn't like accidental that he did that. Like they wanted that to happen. And it was it was bad. I mean, maybe they didn't want the bottom, the spine, like the small of his back to hit. Maybe they thought his like shoulders would hit or something, and it wouldn't be as bad. But
that's what I was just gonna say. In that situation, like, even if it like, even if he hit it with like his legs or his butt first,
right?
It's still gonna fold you,
right?
Like that's still a chair at waist high.
And like the chairs did not move, like they're
at all.
Yeah,
like, they didn't move at all. It was crazy.
It's one thing when you like put someone through a table and the table breaks, right? So like it's giving way, but yeah, those chairs were just folded up and put back on the rack. Like those, then nothing happened to those ones. They after the chair spot, they went back and forth for a minute. Well, it wasn't too much longer after that, maybe 5 minutes. Ricky hit the spear. Well, they had the whole. Was that the whole segment where he ripped the light off? Was that before or after that?
Oh, I forgot about the light. I didn't write that down. I was really into this match.
I don't remember if it was before or after that. I think it might have been after that.
Yeah, it was.
Because I think he hit the chairs and then kind of like crawled out of the ring.
Yeah.
And then Hobbs went to the grab. I love the light spot. That was really cool because that was a working light. Like I know there's no like live electricity. It's like gimmick to come off the wall.
Right.
But it was a working light that he pulled off. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. And if you noticed, did you notice that he grabbed the wrong one first?
Oh no, I didn't see.
Yeah, he grabbed the one above it and he just shook it. And nothing
could tell,
happened.
Like, this isn't loose. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he just went down to the next one and then he pulled it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, like, till after I put 2 and 2 together that, he grabbed the wrong light. But you would have never noticed. Yeah, but he did get the light. And then it was used on him, wasn't it?
Yeah. He went back to the ring.
And then Starks
used it on him. I think it was in the ring, or it might have been outside the ring. I'm not sure, but
yeah. And then, like I said, I took very poor notes on this match because I was so into it, which I need to start recording and like watching again now.
It was a great match. Like it was a really good match.
So good. Ricky hit the spear through the table, and then he gets a clean pin on Hobbs. But we're going to bring up a point that you brought up here. Was an unsanctioned match.
That's right.
Do we get a rubber match now, or is
I feel like we will, because I feel like Hobbs could be, you didn't actually beat me. Like
that's what I was going to say.
That's not a real match. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So do you give them is their gimmick match next? That's my question for you.
Yeah, I don't know, because you have to go harder than this match now, right? So what's harder than a
Right.
non-sanctioned match? I don't know.
Right. Uh, do you put them in the cage?
If they do a
Uh,
cage or they do a last man standing or like a 2 out of 3 falls, like a
yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
I could see them saying like, okay, well, you wanted a match that's official, so we're gonna do 2 out of 3 falls because then it's definite. Like who won
Yeah,
because
that's
you
true.
got 2 win. Yeah, I could see that. Or yeah,
That's a good call.
I think they do
2 out of 3.
another match. It's worked out so well that I feel like they can do another match.
Oh yeah, and let's go. I mean, they've been delivering, so just let them go. Um, all in all, wonderful show, wonderful week
Yeah,
for
like we said, this was
AEW.
just really fun. Like Rampage, when it
Yes,
was over, my just general feeling was like that was a fun show. That was fun to watch. Like I liked watching it. It was all just very enjoyable. And as we said, lots of AEW talent. Sounds weird for an AEW
yes,
show, but it was.
right, right.
I remember thinking because there's a whole talk of like, oh, are some of the ex WWE guys going to leave and go back to WWE, which could happen. We don't know.
Yeah,
But I mean, that show, we just had Hobbs, Starks, Jade, Eddie,
yeah. I'm
Sammy,
looking.
Jungle Boy, Ray Phoenix,
Yeah,
2.0, Hook,
yeah.
Wardlow, like
House of
Darby.
Black. Well,
So
House of Black has a
they're
couple
the ones we're
matches,
talking
but
about. Yeah. But
yeah, yeah,
but I mean, look at all the list of names that we just saw on one
yeah,
show do a really great job. So AEW is in
yeah.
good hands.
100% in good hands. And all these doomsday preppers that they're going to run out of money or they're going to do this. No, they're pretty good.
I think
I'm telling.
honestly, and this is not me being a fanboy. I think they're set up to like have a new generation of younger people come in. Like they've set up to be here for a long time.
Yes, absolutely.
I think the only thing that could stop them from being here for a long time is the same thing that ironically that stopped WCW is if they just couldn't if they Dynamite got canceled and they couldn't get a new TV slot.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, you have look at New Japan World, just start a streaming service.
Right. Yeah, there are more options now than there were 20 years ago
Yeah.
when WCW went out of business. There's a lot more that they can do. So
So
it's in good
yeah,
hands.
it's very good hands. And I mean, Tony Khan's literally our age, so he's not going anywhere.
Right.
He might actually be younger than us.
Yeah.
I have to look this up.
You'll just
see.
feel bad.
Oh, what is he much younger than us? Oh man. Let's see.
He is 39.
Oh, okay, so that's not bad. 82. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's 3 years younger than me. That's not bad. I mean, I'm not a billionaire, but I don't own a soccer team and a football team. I mean, I barely own a car, but whatever.
And the only thing I want to get to now is we had a question on Twitter from D3 MacDon, Dan on Twitter, asked us, what's the best wrestling or wrestling adjacent joke on The Simpsons? And my initial thought was, I don't even remember the episode, but Lisa holds up a newspaper that says grown man thinks wrestling is real.
Wrestling is real.
With Homer on it. And that was my very first thought.
That I 100% agree with you because it's the funniest. Just because there's even the picture of him in the ring with his hands up in the air, so you know Homer jumped the rail.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
and then of course, when he goes, one of these competitors will be unmasked and killed in the ring, and Homer's like, I hope it's they kill that iron yuppie. He's all in on them murdering someone. As long as it's the guy he doesn't like. Yeah, if they kill him, that's fine.
Oh, The Simpsons is perfect. It really is. That's a good question too.
It was. So if anyone else has questions, we're at Elite
let
City
him go.
Pod on Twitter. They don't have to be serious. They could be about The Simpsons. We'll take those. We'll take those too. We like those too. So anything you want to at Elite City Pod on Twitter, we're there.
Now the final question here: do you have a rant for this week?
I don't, just because this was a good week. Like I liked it.
Yeah,
it was fun. If I had a rant, my rant was going to be sort of what I just summed up at the end of the Rampage recap. AEW has a lot of talent, and some of them might leave. I mean, it's the nature of a company. Like no one starts a company and runs that company forever with the same staff. Like people leave, people
Yeah,
come and go, and
yes,
and that's what happens, especially in sports and especially in wrestling. Like
yeah,
me and you were talking, like WWF at the time lost Hogan and Savage and Hall and Nash and Bret Hart, and I mean they remained a company. Like people
yeah,
leave companies sometimes. And I think AEW set up to the point where if they lost, I don't want them to lose people. Like I like the people
right,
I like and I want to see them on AEW. But if people leave for whatever reason they decide to leave, the company's set up really well, unless there was like a situation where no one wants to work there. Like then something's wrong. But
right,
that's doesn't seem to be the way the situation is. And that's one of the benefits of a big roster is having this many guys that some of them can go and maybe some of them can come back later or other people can come later or whatever. But it's a company where they're set up very well for now, for the future, for however long this lasts. They're set up. So I'm not going to be like, oh, if one guy leaves, I think
yeah,
they're done. Like the company's over. Like that's not, 5 guys could leave and the company's not over. Look at WWE. Look how many people
yeah,
they've lost in the last year, 2 years, 3 years. And like
yeah,
you may not like the product, but they're still on TV. They're still very
right,
successful. Like they still
yeah,
put on shows all the time and people
yeah,
still want to work there. Cody wanted to work there. So
right,
people leaving your company doesn't mean it's over. And
exactly.
it just means that you're going to have some other people now, maybe the Acclaim get more screen time or whoever does, right? So it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we always say, and we said from the beginning of this that, I mean, Tony Khan's background isn't professional wrestling, it's professional sports. So he understands that he doesn't take it personally. He doesn't feel that if, I don't know, just say Evil Uno's contract is up and he says, hey, you know what? You didn't renew Stu's contract. I want to go back with Stu. He'll say, okay. And, no hard feelings, man. If you want to come back in a year or 2 or 6 months, you know my number. Give me a call.
Right.
Like you can't hold it you can't take it personally, and you can't hold it against the person. And my rant is basically the same thing about me and you've been talking about it all week. There have been these rumors that some of AEW people ask for their release because they want to be with their significant other. Totally nothing wrong with that, because
Right.
if their significant other is working in WWE, which they are, let them go. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't want to see Malachi Black go to WWE, but that's me being selfish. His freaking wife works there. Like,
Right.
it's not like a situation like say Miro. His wife is at home. So Miro leaves Tuesday morning, works Wednesday, comes home Thursday
Right.
afternoon, and then he gets to see his wife Friday, Saturday,
Right.
Sunday, and Monday. Like, so, and same with Andrade. Like, people were saying he'll never leave, blah 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 blah. Charlotte only has a couple more years, but imagine being newlyweds and like, okay, Andrade leaves Tuesday, is home Thursday. What if Charlotte leaves Wednesday and is home Monday?
Right.
Like, like they'll
And I
never see
think that
each other.
this is an area where, like, obviously Tony Khan just can't let everybody leave because they do have contracts.
Exactly.
Like, I
Exactly.
understand that, but it is a situation where they can differentiate themselves from WD. Where, like, if someone
Yeah.
wants to leave, they don't make them sit around for 2 years until their
Yeah.
contract runs out. Like, they let them sit around for 6 months or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they could work something out. Where, like, Malachi, from as far as I know, has like a 5-year contract. Like, Tony Khan is not going to make him sit at home angry for 4.5 more years, right? Like
Right.
he's not going to do, like, that's awful. Like,
Yes.
and
That's
you're not gonna force that person to wrestle for you, or you shouldn't, because they're not happy. Like, they're just gonna make
yeah.
it miserable for like if you've ever worked at a place where
Someone's
people are
miserable.
sounds
Right.
miserable, like it makes it not fun. It makes it upsetting. Like you come in every day and this guy's just grumbling and complaining, and like it takes everyone else down. So, not that I'm running the company, but if I'm Tony Khan and if someone really wants to go, like, you let them go. You don't
Yeah.
necessarily break the contract completely where they can show up on Raw the next day,
Tomorrow. Right.
but you do something so that they're happy. And you're right. Like, oh, if you ever want to come back, you know how to get, like, it's not personal. It's
And like, I'm looking at this, and my first thought is one person has come out and said bad or about AEW.
I mean, a couple people have, and that's normal.
Yeah,
like every company, like someone's going to be upset. Like you're not going to.
Yeah, like Google is supposed to be like the world to work, but I'm sure there's people there that hate every minute of going in that office.
Right.
Like there just has to be. But regardless, you're going to play goodwill on, like, imagine, since we were talking about Zelina Vega and Malachi / Aleister Black, say Malachi goes there and say Zelina only has a year and a half, 2 years left. Tony Khan, he signs with WWE for the same amount of time, 2 years. Well, if their contracts are up at the same time, he's going to say, hey, Zelina, we can go there and do the same thing, make the same amount of money and work way less.
Right.
Trust me, it was super cool there. The amount of people that could end up coming back because of the goodwill. Like, if he lets Andrade go, well, of course, if they come back, he's going to bring Charlotte.
And you want a working environment where people feel like you want it to be positive. Like that's what he's aiming for. I mean, if you watched, wrestling in the 90s, not that we say this all the time, like it was different. How many times did like Jeff Jarrett, like he wrestled in WWF, then he wrestled in WCW, then he went back to WWF, then he went back to like it happened. Like people did it all the time, and it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean they're never coming back. Like Cody could come back. Like we don't know, right? Like it's entirely possible. Yeah. I mean, I mentioned this to you in text. AEW Dynamite has had 155 episodes as of right now, as of this week.
This is impressive. Yes, continue.
WCW Nitro had 288 for its existence. So that's
unreal to me.
So Dynamite's halfway there, like more than halfway there. Nitro, which still people remember to this day, only aired for like 6 years.
See, I would have never. When you brought that up, I initially read it, was like, nope. And then I was like, and then I read it again and was like, yep, those are definitely the years it was on.
Yeah. So Dynamite's been there for 3. Their next TV contract could be for 5 years, and then they pass Nitro. Like this is not a fly by night thing that's going to disappear if one guy leaves. Like Cody, who co-founded the company and was an executive vice president, and if you were a non-hardcore fan and you were to name someone in AEW, you probably would have named Cody.
Yeah.
And he left, and the company continues. Like it's set up that way. It's not set up to be based around one guy.
And we don't have to put up with Cody saving the world anymore.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, Cody.
But you're right. Like if people want to go, let them go within reason. Like I said, you're not going to let them show up the next day, but you're going to give them, some sort of non-compete, but you're not going to lock them into their contract. You're not going to say, I think it was Pac, who he couldn't wrestle for 2 years or something because they just wouldn't let him out of his deal. Like that just breeds resentment from people. Like now, if Pac's deal ran out with AEW, he's probably not going back to WWE because he had a bad experience there. Yeah. Even though it was different management, different people, it's still a bad experience. The letters are still the same, and in your mind, it's hell because that's what you felt there. And I mean, the person running it is Vince McMahon's daughter. It's not like they sold it to somebody else. It's the same family.
Right. And this is what always I love pro wrestling and have loved it for years. That's why AEW makes me happy, because pro wrestling is back. But the thing that always boggles my mind is literally one person, aka the owner / booker of the company, controls people's lives.
Yeah.
And at the drop of a hat can just say, oh, okay, well, you were the champion, but now Dave is. Sorry.
Yeah.
You go to the ring, Dave gets the belt, and it's just the weirdest industry.
Yeah, it really is.
And I mean, it's fun and I enjoy it, but it's if someone's opinion on you is different, you're just never going to succeed.
Right.
It's crazy to me.
And we clearly like AEW, but AEW is not perfect. There's problems with AEW. There's things. 100%. If I was running a wrestling company, I would probably do things slightly differently, but I'm not. And you don't have to love everything about AEW to watch the shows, and you don't have to think that there's no problems with it. Like, you can think that there's problems with it, and you can still like the show, but go, oh, I wish they did this instead. Like, I think they should do more with the women's division. I think they should try to, do something different with ROH, but like, it doesn't mean I don't like the shows. I leave the shows. Like I said, Rampage ended and it was fun. I enjoyed myself watching TV, and it's TV. I mean, it should make you want to watch more of it. You should leave. If you leave a TV show and you're happy or you're entertained, then they did a good job.
Yep. That's the whole point of the show. And that's, it's AEW. I keep saying it has become must-see TV recently. And every week it's like, you wait for that build, and we're in that build right now. It's Monday night. Where, we got another week coming up, and then all of a sudden it's here and it's over, and you start thinking about next week. Literally, like, it's fun again, and all this stuff and speculation going on, and this person reporting this, and then this person tweets out that I never said that, and this. Again, that would kind of suck if you were in the wrestling journalism or media, whatever you want to call it, and people are putting your name on things. Like, that would be annoying. But the fact that people are talking about pro wrestling is,
I mean, it would probably suck if you're the wrestlers too, because you're like, I didn't say that, and now like,
exactly,
I get that, but for fans, like it is like the 90s when people went back and forth, like you I tried to see if I can figure out if there was a list of like people who went between WWF and WCW. Like, there isn't, because it was so many. Like, you can't really keep track of that. But it's like that. Plus, now there's social media, so it's like a whole thing.
And that's another thing. Like, I don't want to get into or things being worked or things not being worked. Because I could talk about that for another 6.5 hours. We all know that. But social media totally adds another dimension to what pro wrestling can be. I mean, we always talk about, like, the Bucks understand the internet. Kenny Omega understands the internet, and the way that they can create a buzz just about themselves by, like the Bucks, they put something in their bio and the internet goes insane. Like, well, what's that mean? They put a picture of an energy drink. Well, one time Kenny drank an energy drink in Osaka, and like, it's like, are you kidding me? Like, it's fun, and that's all that matters. Just have fun.
None of it is the end of the world. Like, if they announced tomorrow, like, Dynamite was canceled and no one else wants the show, yes, that's a problem. But anything else is not that big of a deal. It's just fun.
And, let's just enjoy it because it's back, and so much has been taken away from it that, there is a whole generation of people that just grew up on WWE that, I mean, we used to joke about it. Imagine these people during the Monday Night Wars. Well, we saw that firsthand, and we're seeing it in real time right now. Yeah, massive meltdowns.
I mean, Kurt Angle left WWE and went to TNA, and the Hardys left and went to TNA, and Christian left, and like, WWE stayed in business. Like, that's how things work. Like, that happens. You should be happy that, like, maybe Malachi Black didn't have the run you wanted him to have, and but now maybe he'll go to WWE, and maybe he'll do something there, and you still get to see him. Whereas if it happens, in a time when there's only one company and you leave that company, your wrestling career is over. So at least you get to see these people. And maybe if you really like Cody, well, now he's on a different show. Maybe you'll watch that show, or you won't. Like, it's fine. Do whatever you want. But at least you get to see the wrestler if they leave. At least the wrestler has an option. Like, they don't have to quit wrestling because Vince McMahon doesn't like them, right? Like, they get to do something else. So it's good.
Totally. Yes.
It's a good time for wrestling, not even just WWE and AEW. Like, Impact does still exist. They still put on shows. If in the eyes of Bobby Fish, they're where you want to be.
I was coming eventually.
I had to put one in there. I had to.
Yeah.
But like, even like, the indies are bigger than they ever were before. New Japan is more accessible than it ever was before. Like, it's a good time to watch wrestling. It's a good time to like wrestling. It's a good time if you want to see different wrestlers do different things. So not everything is doom and gloom all the time.
And you know what? We'll cap it right there. That's a good way to end it.
I got my Bobby Fish joke in, so I'm happy.
Yes, it's a good joke too. If you don't know what we're talking about, look into it. It's wonderful. There's a lot of memes, a lot of good photoshops. Just Google it. You'll love it. Well, on that note, we're gonna.
So I monopolized your rant and just talked over about it.
You're totally fine. Point was taken. It's all good, man. That was Grand Slam, and like I said, we're like literally. I think October 7th is Battle of the Belts, so that would be literally not this week, but next week. So that's Battle of the Belts 5. I think 5.
Yep. And you got to get in our plugs at Elite City Pod basically everywhere.
At
Twitter,
Elite City Pod everywhere.
Instagram.
Instagram. And
we don't have a name on YouTube yet because we can't because we don't have enough subscribers. But go to our Twitter; it's in the bio.
Okay.
All of our links are in the bio on our Twitter account. So.
Okay, that works perfectly. Drop us a line. We'll give you a follow back. We did some mass followings here recently, so if there's any new listeners, thank you. And our numbers have been amazing. So again, thank you, fans. We're looking for a little more interaction. Come say hi. We're on social media. Hit us up at Elite City Pod. Well, on that note, that's where we'll end it. It's been fun. Thank you, everybody. And that was Grand Slam. So until next week, later.